Revealed. An incredible 12-year-old overcomes doubt, touching his teacher in just seconds. Ethan stood in a world that felt heavier than a lead weight on his chest. At 12, he had dreams of painting sunsets and cityscapes that would lift his little town's spirits. Yet here he was, buried beneath the ashes of self-doubt and bullying that kept him isolated. His mom worked late at the diner, her tired smile lingering with the scent of fried food and spilled coffee. And then, there was Grandpa, drifting in and out of memories of better days, always pointing out how he used to walk to school through golden fields, while Ethan felt trapped in concrete and despair. His favorite teacher, Ms. Thompson, seemed like a fortress, stern and unyielding, pushing him with one hand while holding his dreams hostage with the other. Today, after receiving a failing grade, Ethan could hardly breathe. It felt as if the color drained from his world, replaced by the gray of disappointment and frustration. With tears tightening his chest, he wondered if anyone understood the fire he held within. Not even Ms. Thompson, despite their shared love for art. But there was a flicker of light. A district art competition was coming up. The kind that could shine a spotlight on his talent. But what if he failed again? He'd heard whispers in the hall, kids taunting and knocking him down like a house of cards whenever he dared to show his sketches. "Art is for losers," they'd say, laughing. The idea of risking his family's pride by aiming for something so lofty felt like standing at the edge of a cliff. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Ethan sat at his drawing board staring at a blank canvas, grappling with the choice between fear and hope. The hours dragged on, but in that silence, something shifted. He felt the weight of his family's struggles pressing against each stroke of the pencil. He poured his heart into a painting, a mural of the town surrounded by dark clouds, but with vibrant colors peeking through as if to say, "There's still hope." When he presented it to Ms. Thompson, she froze, tears brimming in her eyes, reflecting a mixture of relief and recognition. This was more than just a painting about his struggles, it mirrored her own. And in that profound moment, the walls between them started to crumble. The sense of understanding softened the air, altering both of their lives forever. But just when hope sparked anew like a flame in darkness, an unforeseen challenge began to rise. A rumor started buzzing through the community that could take everything from them. Would they find a way to hold on to the fragile connection they had built? As Ethan stood on the cusp of transformation, he realized the weight of their past was fierce, yet the possibility of art as a weapon against despair glimmered before him. Would courage be enough to turn that light from a flicker into a flame? Ethan picked up his paintbrush, trembling slightly as he faced the canvas again. It was time to pour what little hope he had into this art competition. His heart raced, each beat echoing the thoughts swirling in his mind. Would his mural be good enough? Could it stand up against the critique of others, especially those who had mocked him? As he began to sketch the outlines, memories of the cruel laughter echoed. Each taunting voice was like a cloud, blocking out the sun. "Art is for losers," they'd said. But now, lost in the rhythm of brushstrokes, he started to see something different. Maybe, just maybe, his art could speak louder than the jeers. With each layer of color, Ethan lost track of time. The feathers of his brush danced, unleashing splashes of brilliant blues and warm oranges. Vibrant yellows mingled among the heavy grays, mixing shadows with glimmers of light. He imagined it, the story it would tell even before someone stood in front of it. He could almost hear the whispers of encouragement over the noise that had haunted him for so long. Ms. Thompson's face flashed in his mind, the tears in her eyes igniting a spark. She believed in him. Did she? With gritted teeth, he vowed to present his work not just for her, but for himself. With every stroke, he was letting go of the hurt and claiming his space in this world. But then, Ethan's focus shattered. News of the rumor buzzed back. The school board was discussing a new policy that would cut funding for the arts program. Just when he found his footing, that looming threat sent him reeling. What if the competition was canceled altogether? The thought was suffocating. He set down his brush and stepped back from the canvas, heart pounding. He could picture his dreams being washed away like paint running in the rain. The very breath of inspiration felt like it was being snatched from him. Feeling trapped, he sank into the chair and buried his face in his hands. Why did it always feel like he was fighting an uphill battle? He yearned for a lifeline, a voice that could rally behind him, supporting his dreams. Then, he recalled his mom's late nights at the diner, how hard she fought every day for a better life for both of them. Her strength gave him a rush of determination. With renewed resolve, he jumped up, heart racing with urgency. He wasn't giving in without a fight. If they needed to rally support, he'd make sure people saw his art, saw him. The idea blossomed. A plan began to form. What if he organized a small exhibition in the community? His mural could be its centerpiece, showing not just his struggles, but the vibrant spirit of their town, all of those colorful bursts of hope. With the clock ticking, Ethan would need help. He knew he couldn't do this alone. His fingers gripped the brush again, fueled by a fire he never thought could burn this bright. Each stroke became a battle cry against despair, rallying the community to the front lines. But just as he reached that turning point, his phone buzzed. A message from his friend Leo popped up. "Did you hear? They're thinking of cutting art programs, starting with ours." Ethan felt his heart drop again. The fight was just beginning, and now it was more than just for himself. It was for everyone who ever felt unheard. Would he summon enough courage to make his vision a reality, or would the darkness win again? Ethan stared at his phone for a moment, the message replaying in his mind. The weight of Leo's words felt heavy on his chest. He had to do something. Fast. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about all the kids who loved art as much as he did, who needed it to express themselves, to feel alive. He took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm brewing inside him. His hands trembled, but this time it wasn't from fear. It was excitement, the kind of spark that ignited change. He envisioned the exhibition, the vibrant colors of his mural, and the energy of the community coming together. While the thought was exhilarating, doubts crept back in. Who would help him? Who would care enough to show up? He thought about the taunts that haunted him every day, but deeply buried beneath those voices, he found flickers of hope. Ms. Thompson's proud smile, Leo's unwavering friendship, and even the chance glances of other students who shared his passion. Ethan grabbed a stack of paper and began drafting a plan. He could create posters, send out messages, and even talk to local businesses to sponsor the event. But first, he needed to gather support from his classmates. They needed to feel that same spark he felt, the belief that art mattered just as much as any other subject. He shot a quick message to Leo. "Let's meet after school. I have an idea." After classes ended, Ethan was restless, tapping his foot as he waited for Leo by the entrance. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky with the rich hues he had just been working on. It felt like a good omen. When Leo arrived, Ethan wasted no time. "Leo, I want to organize an art exhibition," he blurted out. "We can showcase all our work, painting, photography, anything. We need to show the school how important art is before they decide to cut our program. It has to be big." Leo's brow furrowed, then slowly transformed into a wide grin. "That's a genius idea. Who else can we get involved?" Their conversation flowed. They printed flyers and decided to pitch their idea to Ms. Thompson. She was passionate about supporting the arts and would surely help spread the word. As they brainstormed, their excitement grew. They filled the air with ideas, live music, interactive sessions, even an auction to support the program. But as they plotted, a nerve settled back into the pit of Ethan's stomach. What if no one came? What if they put their hearts into this and it fell flat? He had to push that thought away. This was bigger than fear. It was about community, resilience, and brotherhood through art. Look, we'll make it great, okay? Leo reassured him, placing a hand on his shoulder. If we can get everyone to believe in this, it'll work. We can't let them take this away from us. We have to fight. Ethan nodded, feeling the warmth of determination wash over him. Every ounce of energy fueled his creativity on the canvas, and now in this new mission. Suddenly, a thought struck him, one that ignited the flame of his anticipation even more. What if they documented the entire journey of the exhibition? They could film interviews, explore the stories behind their art. It would prove to everyone that these expressions mattered, that they were reflections of their hearts and lives. That intense heartbeat returned as he began to envision everything coming together. Voices rising, laughter filling the room, bright colors ushering in warmth and unity. But with every exhilarating vision came the looming fear that lingered in the background. Was he really prepared for the scrutiny when the night arrived? Ethan shook off the doubts again and focused on the possibilities. He could do this. He wouldn't let darkness dim the light he was trying to create. They had to get the momentum going. Let's meet tomorrow to start making plans. We can take this step by step, he said to Leo, feeling the weight of hope push against the idea of failure. And as they parted ways, a new text lit up Ethan's phone. Ms. Thompson wanted to meet with him after school. His heart raced again, but this time, it was filled with something more than fear. It was excitement. What would she say? Would she rally behind his dream? As Ethan walked home, a mixture of curiosity and anxiety bubbled within him. The path ahead was uncertain, but he was ready to jump in. Would Ms. Thompson be the driving force he needed to make this exhibition truly special? Ethan could hardly sleep that night. The anticipation surged through him like a wave, crashing against the rocks of his thoughts. Would Ms. Thompson understand his vision? Would she see the fire in his heart? He tossed and turned, imagining the vibrant canvases adorned with bright colors, children laughing and chatting, all celebrating the power of art. Morning arrived with a hint of nervousness curling in his stomach, but he shook it off. He made a simple breakfast, not really tasting the food. With each bite, his mind was racing with plans. He brushed his teeth, splashed water on his face, and tried to keep a determined expression in the mirror. This was not just a dream. This was a mission. At school, Ethan arrived early, waiting by the art room. The familiar smell of paint hung in the air, mixing with the remnants of yesterday's projects. It felt oddly comforting. He took a deep breath, trying to channel that energy into something powerful. Maybe Miss Thompson would be thrilled. Maybe she'd see this as a chance to rally the entire school. When the bell rang, he barely noticed the flow of students shuffling past him. All that mattered was the door creaking open, revealing Ms. Thompson, her warm smile immediately grounding him. "Ethan, I'm so glad you're here," she said, her tone bright and inviting. "I received your message. How can I help?" Her eyes, sharp yet kind, peered into his as he felt the knot in his stomach tighten. I want to organize an art exhibition to show everyone how art matters." The words tumbled out, filled with urgency. "I believe it can put a spotlight on our program before they cut it." Ms. Thompson's face lit up like a canvas struck by the first rays of dawn. "That's an incredible idea. I've always believed in the power of art to bring people together. What do you envision?" Ethan's heart sang with relief as he shared his ideas. He spoke of live music, showcasing students' talents, and the impact their artwork could have. And we could document the process, show how much it means to us. "Documenting it is brilliant," Ms. Thompson exclaimed, her enthusiasm boosting Ethan's confidence. "Let's involve the entire art class. I know many of them will want to contribute." As they discussed, Ethan could hardly keep the smile off his face. With each idea they sparked, it felt like they were building something monumental. He could already see the gallery filled with colored lights reflecting off the walls, voices mingling with laughter and creativity. But as they wrapped up, a cautionary thought slipped back in. "What if it doesn't work out?" he asked, a whisper of doubt creeping in. "What if people don't take it seriously?" Ms. Thompson, sensing his hesitation, leaned closer. "Ethan, art is about expression. The journey matters more than the outcome. And trust me, those who care will show up. You're not alone in this." Ethan felt the weight of her words settle deep within him. He had been so frightened of failing that he hadn't fully embraced the idea of this exhibition being a journey. This was more than just about saving a program. It was about uniting voices, sharing stories, and growing together. "I want to do this, Ms. Thompson," Ethan said, his voice steady. "I really do." "Then we'll make it happen," she affirmed. "Let's draft a proposal together and present it to the school board. They need to see the potential we have." As they gathered their materials together, Ethan felt a bubble of excitement rise inside him. This was it. They were going to fight for something big. But somewhere in the back of his mind, something nagged at him. Would the school board really see the value of what they were creating? His heart raced at the thought of facing that kind of scrutiny. "Ethan," Ms. Thompson said softly as she gathered her notes, "remember, it's about sharing our truth. And your truth matters." They shared a smile, and for a brief moment, the world felt right. But as Ethan left the art room, determination waged war with doubt in his heart. Would he be able to inspire others and turn this dream into reality? As he walked through the buzzing hallways, he couldn't shake off the sense of urgency building within him. He had to rally the students, spark that fire. But how? What if no one cared? With that flurry of questions swirling around in his mind, he bumped into a group of friends in the hallway. Their laughter echoed around him, but he was still lost in thought. Ethan noticed one of them holding a sketchbook. "Hey, does anyone want to help me change the world?" he blurted out. His heart raced as they turned to him, curiosity flickering in their eyes. But would they share his passion? Would they be willing to step up and create something stunning together? In that moment, Ethan understood. This wasn't just his fight anymore. It was theirs. And as hope ignited anew, he felt ready to face whatever came next. Would they stand by his side? Would they step forward and join him on this artistic journey? Ethan's heart raced as he looked at his friends, trying to gauge their reactions. They seemed surprised, maybe even confused. The laughter that had filled the hallway faded, leaving a hush that wrapped around him like a heavy blanket. "Change the world? Seriously?" Chris asked, a skeptical brow raised. "Yeah," Ethan replied, his voice more animated than he felt. "I mean, we can create something amazing, an art exhibition that showcases our work and how much art means to us. It could make a difference." His friends exchanged glances. Jenna, always the artist of the group, clutched her sketchbook tighter. "You really think we can pull something like that off?" she asked, skepticism washing away just a hint of curiosity. Desperation nudged him forward. "I believe we can. Ms. Thompson is on board. She thinks it could unite everyone. We just need to get the word out and get people involved." Jenna's eyes flickered with enthusiasm, while Chris's initial doubt transformed into intrigue. "Okay, so what do we do?" Chris asked, his tone shifting. Ethan felt hope swell in his chest. Ethan took a breath and felt adrenaline pulse through him. "Let's organize some meetings. We can brainstorm and come up with ideas, make posters, invite people, everyone in the art class, and anyone else who wants to contribute." Their excitement seemed to build, tinged with laughter and a sense of possibility. "I can design the poster," said Jenna with a grin. "It can be colorful and eye-catching. Count me in too," Chris said, nodding. "Let's blow this thing up. We could even do some live art where people can create while the show's happening." Ethan's smile widened. This was not just a plan anymore. It was becoming a movement. Every suggestion sparked a new idea, and he felt that warmth blooming inside him once more, the fire of passion. As they plotted in the hallway, more students gathered, drawn by the energy. It was electric. He could see a group of sophomore girls leaning in, intrigued. "What's going on?" one of them asked. Ethan leaned forward, excitement bubbling in his voice again. "We're planning an art exhibition. It'll be a showcase of creativity for everyone. You should join us." Their eyes lit up, and Ethan marveled at the way the momentum was shifting. The fear he had felt earlier began to dissipate, replaced by the thrill of collective ambition. It was no longer just talk. It was becoming real. They decided to meet later that day after school to finalize details. Ethan felt weight lift with each excited conversation. Fellow students shared ideas, offered their skills, and pledged participation. But as the laughter and planning filled the air, a shadow of worry still didn't leave Ethan. Would the school board really take them seriously? What if their effort fell flat? Doubt crept back like a phantom, but with each voice that joined in, it felt a little further away. As the bell rang, signaling the end of the school day, Ethan walked away, heart racing. He felt a new sense of responsibility wash over him. There were faces out there counting on him now. He wasn't just fighting for the art program. He was fighting for those dreams, those passions that so many had yet to unleash. When he stepped into the art room again, Ms. Thompson was there, waiting. "Looks like you've gathered a crowd," she said, beaming. "You must be so excited." "I am, but also nervous. What if it all falls apart?" Ethan admitted, the weight of leadership settling on him. "That's part of the journey," Ms. Thompson replied, her eyes shimmering with empathy. "Just remember, art is about connection. That's what you're creating. Trust the process, and trust your friends." Ethan nodded slowly, feeling more grounded with her words. They had a fighting chance, and he had to believe in himself and everyone who dared to dream alongside him. Just as he turned to leave, the art room door swung open, and the custodian, Mr. Jenkins, poked his head in. "Got news about the school board meeting," he said, his expression serious. "They want to hear from students too. Are you guys ready for that?" Ethan's heart dropped. They'd have to present their vision not just to Ms. Thompson, but to the entire board. Could they really share their dreams? What if they rejected the whole idea? Ethan exchanged glances with Ms. Thompson, uncertainty swirling in the air. Now the stakes weren't just personal. They involved every voice that had started this journey. Would they rise to the occasion? Ethan's mind raced as he processed Mr. Jenkins's words. The weight of the school board's eyes seemed to bore down on him already. The thought of presenting their dreams, their art, to a group of adults who might not care or understand felt overwhelming. "Are we even ready for this?" he muttered, trying to focus on his friends. Jenna and Chris were still discussing ideas, their enthusiasm radiating off each other. They didn't seem to be fazed by the news like he was. "Ethan!" Jenna called out, snapping him back to reality. "We need your energy. You're the one who rallied us all." That hit him in a way he didn't expect. His energy? Wasn't it his uncertainty that was bubbling beneath the surface like a storm waiting to erupt? Right, he said, forcing a smile. "Let's make a plan. We can each take a part of the presentation." "We'll show them what we're about," Chris added, a grin forming on his face. "We'll show them our passion." Their confidence gave him the smallest spark. Maybe if he could channel that, he could shake off the doubt creeping in. "Okay, let's break down what we'll say. I'll handle the introduction," he said, his voice stronger now. Jenna sketched some ideas on her notepad, jotting down points like importance of art and community impact. As she wrote, Ethan sensed something magical happening. They were piecing together a vision, a bond that tied them to every student who'd pick up a paintbrush or pencil. With every word they shared, Ethan felt his previous fears retreat just a little. They discussed how they could bring the student body together, involving not just artists, but writers, musicians, and performers. This was about more than art. It was about unity. Just then the bell rang, signaling the start of their meeting. Ethan took a deep breath. "Let's do this," Chris exclaimed, and his enthusiasm bubbled up into the room. As they marched out, Jenna turned back to Ms. Thompson. "Could we maybe practice presenting it to you first? Just to feel more ready?" "Absolutely," Ms. Thompson replied, her smile warm as ever. "I'd love to hear your ideas and give feedback." Ethan felt a flutter of relief. They had a support system, someone who believed in their vision already. After gathering in an empty classroom, the trio set up for their practice. It was smaller than what they would face later, but each seat felt significant. It was both comforting and nerve-wracking at the same time. Ethan took a deep breath and began to present. Art isn't just a subject. It's about expression. It's about connecting with ourselves and each other, and an exhibition could show the soul of our school. The words flowed easier than expected. He found strength in his voice, adding in Jenna's passion for the visuals and Chris's ideas for live demonstrations. The more they built on each other's strengths, the more real the project felt. When they finished the presentation, Ms. Thompson clapped, her eyes sparkling. "Brilliant! You've all shown such growth. I can see how much this means to you." With pride swelling within him, Ethan smiled back. But as they exited the classroom, the tension nudged back into his chest. Would it be enough for the board? As they walked down the hallway, the chatter of students filled the air. Suddenly a thought hit him. "Do you think we should involve school clubs too, like sports or debate? Everyone has a story to tell through art." Jenna's eyes widened. "Yes, that could really expand our outreach." Chris nodded. "And the more people we involve, the more impactful it'll seem to the board, right?" Ethan felt a newfound energy building. They needed to reach every corner of the school, ignite the creativity of their peers, and bring them along for the ride. "Let's do it," he declared, his heart pounding with excitement. "We'll make it a movement, an art revolution." But just as they rounded the corner, a loud voice echoed down the hall. It was the principal's assistant, calling for auditions for a talent show. The idea planted was powerful, but would they be able to pull everything together in time for the board meeting? Ethan halted, a thought crystallizing in his mind. This unexpected opportunity could turn the exhibition into something even greater. What if we included performances in our exhibition? Chris raised an eyebrow. "Are you serious?" But Jenna's eyes lit with inspiration. What she didn't expect was the influence one show could have. Ethan felt the weight of the moment. Could they truly expand this dream even further than he imagined? Would the board see the potential for connection, creativity, and passion in their art? Now, it was time to reach for the stars, but would they have the courage to shine? Ethan's heart raced as the idea took hold. Involving the talent show felt like a leap into the unknown, but somehow it felt right. "We need to think big," he urged, glancing at his friends' eager faces. "This could truly show how art connects us all. The art exhibit could be the canvas, and the talent show our strokes coming together." "Yeah! Imagine combining our visual art with live performances," Chris exclaimed, his eyes growing wide with excitement. Jenna practically bounced on her feet. "We could have students perform during the exhibition opening. Their music or poetry could intertwine with the visual aspects. It's so dynamic." Ethan felt an electric energy surge through the group. Maybe this was exactly what they needed, something bold enough to grab the attention of the school board. "Let's break this down. Who can we involve? Every club, every class. They all have something to contribute." They quickly began jotting down names: Eco Club, Drama Club, Debate Team. The list grew, expanding their reach. Each inclusion brought fresh excitement, but also a flutter of nerves danced in Ethan's stomach. Would the clubs be interested? Would students be willing to share their talents? Okay, let's do some outreach, Chris suggested. We could create flyers to post in all classrooms and the cafeteria. Maybe even make a social media page to gather interest. As they brainstormed, Ethan could feel the collaborative spirit enveloping them. But lurking in the back of his mind was the ever-present question: what if the board didn't see it the way they did? Jenna stopped writing and looked at Ethan, her face softening. You okay? He forced a nod, though doubt lingered. It's just, what if we fall short? What if we can't pull this off in time? Jenna shrugged, her expression determined. Then we learn from it. This is about pushing our boundaries, even if we stumble. You've always said that, right? Her words wrapped around him like a warm blanket, easing the chill of uncertainty. They were doing this together. You're right, he said, feeling a little lighter. They decided to meet after school in the library to create their flyers and plan their outreach. As the last bell rang, Ethan gathered his things with newfound determination. The hallway buzzed with the sound of laughter and chatter, an endless sea of potential. Once in the library, they spread out their supplies, colorful papers, markers, and sticky notes. Each scribble was infused with purpose. Chris flipped through his phone, searching for design ideas. This is going to be amazing, Jenna said, doodling a vibrant sketch. Look at what we're creating. Ethan leaned in, studying her playful designs. It was more than just art. It was their voice, their call to the school. Suddenly, a flash of fear crept back in. He wasn't just afraid of disappointing the board anymore. He was more afraid of not doing this justice, for all the students who would be left unheard. Hey, we can make this work. Just think about it, Chris said, sensing Ethan's unease. All it takes is a little courage. If we're all in, the board won't have a choice but to notice. Ethan breathed deeply, rallying his thoughts. You're right. It's about showcasing everyone's stories. This could be the moment. As they finalized their flyers, an unexpected knock on the library door drew their attention. It was Ms. Thompson, her curious smile brightening the dim room. What are my favorite artists conjuring up today? Ethan exchanged glances with Jenna and Chris. We're creating something big. An art exhibition that involves the talent show, Ethan explained, excitement bubbling in his voice. Her eyes widened, and she stepped closer, intrigued. Really? I'd love to hear more about your idea. The three shared their passion, tossing ideas back and forth with Ms. Thompson, her excitement matching theirs. Ethan felt the thrill of possibility blooming inside him, almost as if they were weaving a tapestry of creativity, with each thread representing a student's unique expression. But just as they wrapped up the conversation, Ms. Thompson looked serious. I believe in what you're doing, but be mindful. You'll need to deliver something powerful to the board. They won't just want a talent show, they'll want a revelation. That word clung to Ethan like a lifeline. It wasn't just about displaying art. It was about awakening something in the hearts of everyone who walked into that room. As Ms. Thompson left, Ethan's thoughts raced. Would they really pull it off? Could they create a moment that would be talked about for years to come? He glanced at Jenna and Chris, their determined faces shining with hope. We're going to make this happen, he declared strongly, and we'll make it count. But as they left the library, Ethan's heart ached with a mixture of hope and fear. What if, when they presented to the board, it wasn't enough? That nagging doubt wouldn't let him go. Would they find the courage to transform their exhibition into more than just art? And can they truly ignite change? The next morning, Ethan awoke with a restless energy. Sunlight spilled through his window, casting patterns on his walls. Today felt pivotal. It was the day they would begin reaching out to the other clubs, brimming with an electric mix of anticipation and apprehension. He threw on a t-shirt and jeans, hastily making his way to the kitchen where his mom was flipping pancakes. The delicious aroma filled the air, but his stomach churned with anxiety as he sat down at the table. "Something on your mind, honey?" his mom asked, glancing over her shoulder. Ethan hesitated, unsure if he should voice his fears. But she set down a plate of pancakes in front of him and smiled with that warm encouragement that always pulled him in. "It's big. A project at school," he finally admitted, pushing the food around on his plate. "I just really want it to work out." His mom leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "You've always worked hard for what you want. Just remember, it's about doing your best, not about perfection. If you give it your heart, others will see the passion in it." Feeling slightly bolstered, Ethan inhaled deeply and nodded. Right. Passion. When he arrived at school, the halls felt like a whirlwind of emotions. Students streamed around him, laughter and chatter blending into a cacophony of voices. This was the day they would take their idea beyond their small circle. He found Jenna and Chris at their usual spot by the lockers, buzzing with their own excitement. "Today's the day," Chris said, practically bouncing on his heels. "I've made a list of clubs to hit up first. Eco Club is in, and I've got a solid lead with the Drama Club." Ethan's heart swelled. "That's awesome. Let's get started." But even as they talked, the little voice in his head whispered doubt. What if the others didn't care? Their first stop was the Eco Club. The room was a busy hive of students crafting posters for a sustainability event. As Ethan, Jenna, and Chris burst through the door, the chatter slowed into curious silence. "Hey everyone, we're working on a big art exhibition and talent show," Jenna exclaimed, standing taller and speaking with bold enthusiasm. "We'd love your involvement." For a moment, the room was still. Then, one student raised their hand. "What would we do?" Ethan stepped forward, intrigued by the question. "We're inviting every club to showcase their talents. Your creativity and eco-art could be featured. You can participate with live performances woven throughout the exhibit." The Eco Club members exchanged glances, a spark igniting among them. Slowly, smiles began to break out, and one of them shouted, "Count us in!" Applause erupted in the small room, fueling Ethan's eager heart. They moved to the Drama Club next. After a brief pitch, the drama students, already brimming with theatrical flair, began bouncing ideas back and forth. Ethan watched in awe as their creativity flowed like a tidal wave, invigorating their small group. Each success was a lifeline, but each room also held whispers of doubt that danced at the edges of his mind. What if they encountered rejection with other clubs? They even visited the debate team, but it was a tougher crowd. "Art and debate sounds too fluffy," one member scoffed. Ethan's gut twisted. Jenna stepped in, her voice calm. "Debate isn't just about being articulate, it's about expressing ideas. You have the opportunity to share your arguments visually when combined with art. Let's challenge perceptions together." It was a tough crowd, but she won them over. The more they talked, the more Ethan felt those doubts being pushed aside. This was about unity. By the end of the day, they had garnered interest from multiple clubs, and when they gathered together again in the library, their energy was palpable. "We're doing it!" Chris exclaimed, punching the air. However, the moment they celebrated, Ethan felt a tugging sense of dread. What if we can't deliver a powerful presentation to the board? What if they see this as just another school project? Jenna placed her hand on his shoulder, her grip firm. "We're building something bigger than just a project. We're showing our school community's heart." Yet, as they wrapped up their meeting, Ethan couldn't shake the question. Had they really built something compelling enough to touch the board's hearts? That evening, alone in his room, all he could do was stare at the artwork pinned on his wall, a tribute to the voices and dreams he hoped they would celebrate. Would they tap into that energy when the moment of truth arrived? As he drifted into sleep, one thought persisted through the shadows. What if the only thing standing in their way was fear itself? The following day would bring the all-important meeting with the school board. Could they rise together and turn their vision into reality? Would they find the courage to illuminate the stage? The next morning, Ethan woke up feeling like a tightrope walker preparing to take his first step. His heart raced, and the nerves twisted in his stomach like a coiled spring. The sunlight was brighter, almost blinding, reflecting the urgency of the day ahead. This was it, the moment they would present their project to the school board. He quickly dressed, gulping down a piece of toast as he imagined the meeting. Would he stumble over his words? Would the board see the value in their vision? As he made his way to school, he replayed every detail in his mind, checking his mental list like a pilot running through pre-flight protocols. When he arrived at school, the atmosphere buzzed with energy. The hallways felt charged, students rushing around, laughter echoing off the walls. But to Ethan, it felt as if time was standing still. Jenna and Chris were already at their usual spot, their excitement palpable. They had given each other pep talks all morning, but he could sense an undercurrent of nerves in their voices. "Are we ready for this?" Chris asked tentatively, glancing at Jenna. "Absolutely!" Jenna replied too enthusiastically, trying to mask her own doubts. Ethan could see her hands trembling slightly. With determination, they headed to the auditorium, where everything would take place. The air felt thick with anticipation as they entered. Rows of seats filled with teachers and board members were waiting for them. Ethan gulped, feeling every pair of eyes on him. As they arranged their materials backstage, Ethan's mind raced. What if they were laughed at? What if the board dismissed their efforts as childish? But remembering his mother's words about passion, he shook his head and focused on the vision they had crafted together. "Okay, let's do this," Jenna said, her voice steadying Ethan as they stepped towards the stage. The lights dimmed, and a hush fell over the audience. The three of them stood before the board, facing an unseen sea of faces. Ethan looked out, swallowing hard. There, in the front row, was Mr. Thompson, his art teacher. His presence steadied Ethan, reminding him of the countless hours spent fostering creativity and confidence. "Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here," Ethan began, his voice echoing slightly in the vast space. "We are here today to share our project, an art exhibition and talent show that brings our school community together." He felt a flicker of warmth at the reception of soft murmurs. Jenna and Chris joined in, their enthusiasm shining through, painting vivid pictures of what their project could achieve. As they launched into their presentation, Ethan's nervousness transformed into something else altogether. They spoke of unity, creativity, and connection. The words flowed, each moment becoming more powerful than the last. He could see nods of approval from the board members. Even the skeptical faces softened. Then came the moment he had been waiting for, the call to action. "We believe that art can change lives," he said, his voice growing stronger. "It's more than just creativity. It's about sharing experiences and deeper connections." Ethan glanced at Mr. Thompson, who was leaning forward, eyes bright with interest. Suddenly, he felt more confident, as if he was not just representing himself, but everyone who had believed in him. When they finished, silence filled the auditorium. Then, a wave of applause erupted, echoing against the walls. Ethan felt his heart swell with a mixture of disbelief and joy. Had they really just done that? But as they walked off stage, a sense of uncertainty crept back in. What if they fell short of expectations? What if the board didn't truly understand the depth of their vision? As they gathered outside, the adrenaline coursed through them. "We did it!" "That felt amazing," Chris exclaimed, disbelief etched on his face. "Yeah, I can't believe how well it went," Jenna added, eyes shining. Yet, in Ethan's heart, the shadow of uncertainty lingered. "Do you think they really got our message?" he asked, his voice quieter now. Just then, Mr. Thompson appeared, his smile wide and encouraging. "You all were fantastic. You've got something special here." Ethan's heart raced again, feeling a flicker of hope spark within him. But as the trio stood there, reveling in the moment, Ethan wondered if the real challenge was yet to come. The board's decision that would determine their future. Could their creativity be enough to change hearts and minds? Would their vision create a ripple throughout the school community? As he contemplated the stakes, he felt the weight of possibility hanging in the air. Ethan paced the empty art room. The vibrant chaos of colors that once surrounded him faded into a haze of uncertainty. The school board's decision was looming like a thundercloud overhead, heavy and ominous. Would they see the beauty in their vision? Could they truly understand what the merging of art and talent meant? But as he paced, his friends, Jenna and Chris, entered, each wielding determination that sparked the air. "Ethan, you did great! We did great!" Jenna exclaimed, her eyes alight. "Yeah, that was epic," Chris added, bubbling with energy. Yet even amidst their excitement, Ethan felt that familiar weight dragging him down. "Did we really reach them?" he questioned, his voice catching. "What if they think it's not enough?" "Enough?" Jenna shot back, eyes narrowing. "You felt that applause. They recognized our passion, our vision." Chris nodded in agreement. "We can't change the world in one go, but we took a giant leap. We brought our community together." Ethan looked between them, warmth enveloping him at their faith. Here they were, all filled with hope, his support system cementing his resolve. "You're right. All those voices and ideas. It felt like we were transforming the stage into something alive." Days passed. Uncertainty hung like fog. But soon the school board's announcement day arrived. The walls were plastered with posters, loud with color. Excitement buzzed in the air as students filled the hallways, each chatting eagerly about the upcoming exhibition. At the front of the school, a gathering formed. Everyone awaited the board's decision about the arts funding, and for Ethan, this was the moment of truth. He stood with Jenna and Chris, feeling the pulse of the crowd resonate like a drum beat. And then, the principal, Mrs. Green, stepped up to the podium. "Today, we celebrate the creativity that unites us." The room grew silent, anticipation swelling thick in the air. "After evaluating the students' amazing proposals, I am proud to announce that we will not only support the art exhibition but arrange for additional funding to ensure it thrives." Ethan's breath quickened. A wave of joy crashed over him, tears pooling at the edges of his eyes. The crowd erupted in cheers. Joy radiated around him, a heartbeat of unity that echoed through the air. Then the reality hit him. His mural, the vibrant colors, and the collective heart of the community would come alive. Students would see their dreams displayed, their fears and hopes intertwined within. As he turned to Jenna and Chris, the realization of their journey filled him with exhilaration. They had battled doubt and built bridges, and together, they turned whispers into a crescendo of voices that would be remembered. "This is it, isn't it?" he asked, smiling widely. "We did it!" Chris shouted, pulling Jenna into a tight hug. But it was Ms. Thompson who approached with a proud smile, her eyes shimmering with pride. "You not only showcased the talents but ignited a wave of inspiration. You fought for what you believed in, Ethan. You all did." His heart soared at her words. "Thank you for believing in us," he replied, feeling gratitude burst forth. As the anticipation unfolded into a plan for the exhibition, Ethan felt the weight lift off him. Each student's work would now tell a story, share a bond, and through creativity, they would create a tapestry of connections. It became clear. Ethan would no longer be that isolated boy consumed by self-doubt. Instead, he stood amid a movement, spark ignited, ready to grow. This was just the beginning of something beautiful. A new era of creativity and resilience had dawned in their school. Side by side, all students would stand against any storm, proving that art, and the hearts that create it carry the power to illuminate even the gloomiest of days. Ethan looked out at the cheering crowd, their spirits blending into one. He felt hope surging within him, filling him with warmth and clarity. The passion that had once been hidden beneath layers of doubt transformed into a blazing beacon of light that signaled the arrival of something special. And as they began planning for the exhibition, something new sparked inside him, and he realized this wasn't just about saving a program. It was a celebration of their collective voices, and it mattered. As they wrapped up their planning for the exhibition, Ethan stood taller, heart wide open to possibilities. He was ready to embrace the challenge ahead, knowing he had the unwavering support of his friends and community. Today marked a turning point, a new chapter filled with hope and light, and it was just the beginning. As you reach the end of this inspiring journey, remember that your voice matters too. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. And don't wait, not even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions.